Suspenders and Button podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie.
Join us for unbuttoned and unedited conversations.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah. Welcome back to Suspenders and Button podcast, the Minnesota edition.
And I'm Julie, and welcome Ben Rosenbaum to the podcast. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I feel honored to appear under the Minnesota banner.
It's the best banner out there.
Well, it's a running joke that all roads lead to Minnesota because Julie always finds a connection to her home state. So I think this could be the official segment of that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I have found no matter where I go, the Minnesota connections run deep. If you see somebody else out there with a Twins hat or a Vikings jersey on, you definitely say hello, and there's always a kind response or interaction there.
Yeah, we won't even talk about how your California baseball hat has Gopher colors on it.
That's right. Yeah, even when I try to wear something different, it ends up connecting back there.
Still the golden Gopher colors.
Can't get away.
Can't get away. Well, we in particular reached out right now because you are participating in your annual multiple sclerosis, I can say this, society, Walk MS again this year. Why don't you tell us about your Walk MS?
That's right. Thank you. So this will be my 10th year doing this as part of a team. The team name is Don't MS With Us. And it's a group of friends here in LA who invited me about a decade ago to join the team and start doing the walk. One of those friends received the diagnosis herself about that time. And ever since, we've been investing more time and effort into the fundraising process and really trying to make a dent and a difference into the research and ultimately, we hope, the elimination of this disease as it stands today.
Yeah. So when is the walk?
So the walk this year is March 30th. It's always around the same time, but it can change a bit here and there. And the physical walk happens at the Rose Bowl out in Pasadena. So it's a really fun time. It's a great group of people who come out and they put on a really nice event. We do the walk around and it feels really meaningful, especially with, I don't know how many years ago now, I started including the Hardys in my request for fundraising efforts, but they have really, really taken it and run with it. And it has become such a meaningful thing to get to do with their support and generosity. It feels like we're making a difference out there. So I'm eternally grateful and I look forward to it every year.
So if people want to donate to your Walk MS,
yes, thank you. That's important to touch on. Thank you for bringing that up. So I just added some links to my bios on X and on Instagram, and made some posts that include links. And even this year, they've gotten a little high tech, and they've added a QR code if you want to be able to find my page that way. Now, if you are thinking the QR code is on my phone, I use my phone to look at QR codes. What do I do here? You got me. I don't know. I didn't invent that. But you can borrow a friend's phone, perhaps, or if you really want to get into it, you're dedicated to the QR code, you can print it out and then use the phone on that. Otherwise, that might be easier.
Even easier yet, open up Google Photos and hit, it'll search it and then you can tap it.
Oh, no way.
Yes, it's the easy button. Not in your iPhone photos, but in your Google Photos. If you open it up, you can get right to the link right off your screen.
Oh, love that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
even easier.
That's a good point.
I did not know that.
There it is in your photos, and you can just click the link that way. So there are multiple ways to get there, however long you want the road to be.
Ben, what is the last day to donate?
So the donations can still be given after the date of the walk. I find that it's kind of most fun. It feels most participatory to do it before that. But we take donations all the way through a couple weeks after the walk occurs. So that would be, I guess, mid-April. But there's really no bad time to donate. And if it is past the walk and my donation page is no longer up or something, you still feel like giving to the National MS Society, that's the most important thing. So it's a wonderful, wonderful cause. And I feel deeply grateful to everybody who donates. Any amount of money helps. It really goes a long way with them.
Do you have a certain goal?
Well, I have set my goal. You know, it used to be a really kind of hopeful, wishful thing to set a goal. And ever since I got the Hardys involved, I've been smashing the goals that I set. So I've been reaching higher and higher. This year it's $10,000. And based on their support in years past, that is totally achievable. So I'm really blown away by it. But that's the goal. We'll just see where we're at on March 30th, the day that I'm walking. But I fully expect to get there.
We also have the link up in our stories and both of our Instagram pages. And when
thank you so much.
We'll retweet yours also on Twitter or X or whatever it is now. We'll retweet that too. So can anyone donate to through your link?
Anyone can donate. And if you are interested in a little extra incentive, I will be offering 3 original portraits. This one is of Aaron Krakow, done by Pascal.
Beautiful.
Is of Pascal, done by me. And this one is, well, you can tell this is of me.
It's a perfect likeness.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Are these paintings signed?
They certainly will be by the time they're sent out. And you'll have no doubt of their authenticity because no other artist would want to claim them.
They're fantastic.
So tell everybody how they can enter to win for the beautiful paintings. And will they go to 3 separate homes or all together?
Great questions. So the way that I've done it in the past with these raffles is I set a dollar amount that equals 1 raffle ticket. In this case, it's $20. And for every $20 you donate, I will keep track of that and enter those tickets into a raffle. I do an official, totally blind raffle that is conducted. I even get a certificate afterwards. It's probably a little too official, more than it needs to be. But for anybody curious, I can show them the receipts of how the winners are selected. And so there's no limit to how many times you can enter. Whatever size donation you make, I'll divide it by 20 and put those tickets in the raffle. And the winners will be selected after the walk. And I will ship them out to 3 separate winners. So 1 painting per person. And all you need to do is make the donation. If you are selected, I will track you down and find you and get an email or via Twitter or Instagram, and I will get the word out and then get your address and send it out to you. So it's that simple.
I love how official you are with yours. We just draw names out of a hat on here.
That's great. I thought about doing one that way. I think that it would be more entertaining, certainly, than me sitting alone on the computer just ticking away, watching the numbers run. But I liked having a real official kind of take on it.
You can document
your method for tracking. Are you like writing down every time a donation comes the name?
I do track. I do keep track. I've got a note in my phone, kind of the notes folder, where I just keep it going on a grid. And then after all the donations are in, I go back, I double check. I'm even in contact with somebody at the National MS Society who has all the back end receipts for everybody who's donated in case I missed one or something. So I double and triple check and make sure everybody's accounted for. Because I really appreciate every single donation. I want to make sure everybody gets their chance to own one of these beautiful original paintings.
They're amazing. And people are excited about those. Like they want those paintings. We remember when they were posted, when you guys made the paintings. And so people were excited to see them.
It was a fun activity and a fun video to make. And I hadn't thought too much beyond it at that point. But as soon as it was posted, there were comments popping up underneath that video saying, I hope these become the Walk MS prize. And I was like, well, there you go. That's great. We've already got the interest.
Yeah.
Right?
The work was already done. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you know what the MS Society uses the funds for that are raised?
Yes. So it's everything from what you might consider sort of smaller level uses, day-to-day operations that are there for people who've been diagnosed with MS, whether that's helping them organize and get to planning meetings to manage their diagnosis and their treatment, and sort of holding their hand through that process, all the way up to funding full-on fellowship research grants in the fight to end MS. So it runs a wide variety. On their website, they really break it down, like how much money goes to each, or examples of how much money can fund each purpose. And so if you're interested, I highly recommend looking at it. It is interesting to see, because it's easy to assume that it's all research, it's all forward thinking, it's all big picture stuff, but there's a lot of work that's being done to help people now, today, manage what can be a pretty difficult diagnosis to hear, and they can make it much more manageable so that the living with MS is something that you're not doing alone. You're doing it with the help and guidance of the National MS Society, and it makes a powerful difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, their website is fantastic, and their charity rating is very high. It's an outstanding organization, and the research that's the most the thing in the end that's going to help the most. But people need help right now, and coordination of care is such an important piece for patients with MS, and trying to get them with their providers and to all their appointments and all the things that they need is something that a lot of people actually need a lot of help with. And so I kind of love the way they split out their money.
Yeah, thank you so much for pointing that out. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
So do you see yourself continuing with this MS walk for kind of forever?
I imagine. I don't see any reason why I would stop. I mean, I guess the hopeful goal would be they find the cure next year, and there's not as much need for a walk like this anymore. But as long as it's needed, I plan on doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so important. And fundraising is something that is important to Julie and I too. We love to do that through our accounts and our platforms on social media. So this is something that we enjoy watching you do as well. And are you going to go live or post anything from the walk for, all those who have donated?
Yeah, I typically like to take some photos and catch a video on the walk, and especially now with Willoughby with me, there's a lot of joyful content to be mined there. So yeah, I always plan on grabbing something while I'm there on the walk out with the team, and try to post something to show my gratitude afterwards and let people know it all really happened.
Yes.
You were really there. Love that kind of content and like to see that happen. I mean, I remember you posting during the pandemic when you were walking by yourself, and I just thought it was pretty inspirational, because people were trying to find ways to still stay connected while not being by anyone. And I just thought that was a great example of being connected to something you're involved in while still being by yourself. And, so many people watch that, and I think it was kind of inspirational in that moment too.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it was really, it was a wonderful thing to participate in. And like you said, an opportunity to connect from afar. Right. And the National MS Society did a wonderful job of rolling with, I mean, it's their largest fundraiser of the year, so they couldn't just step away from it. So finding a way of organizing that group of people to get the walk done from afar and still make it feel connected and like you've got a community there together was it was a remarkable thing for them to pull that off. So I'm always happy to be a part of it.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, and we'll be sure to post about it for the next month or so. But let's pivot a little and talk about When Calls the Heart.
All right, that sounds great.
Favorite topic, yes.
Let's start with, it's season 12 right now.
My goodness. My goodness. It is really, it's an amazing thing to step back and think about. And that never hit harder than when we celebrated 100 episodes and the 10th season a couple years ago now. And it hasn't stopped carrying that kind of weight when I think about it, and when I look around at my friends who I've known now, many since season 1, and how many of them have got kids that they didn't have when the show started, and I've watched their kids grow up, and I mean, who we were 12 years ago to who we are now, and it's just, I feel so fortunate to be a part of that group and a part of this show. It is a remarkable thing that we do not take for granted. And of course, all of that is thanks to fans like yourselves and the Hardys who support the show and lift it up and keep it going. So thank you so much for keeping this show going all this time.
Yeah, well, it's really evolved into, I know everybody talks about it, but it's like a whole community affair. So
Really?
There's Facebook groups and Instagram accounts, and then everybody on Sunday nights tweeting. So it really has become such a part of so many people's lives, and that's really special to be a part of and to watch. Yeah.
Where life really does imitate art in that way, where it's the show itself is about this community coming together and being together and raising each other up, and that it feels like that exists out in the world with the people watching it as well. And every year we hear so much, especially at even the name Hardy's Family Reunion. When we meet people there, we hear stories about the ways in which the show has connected them, whether within their own families, making new connections, having opportunities to sit down and enjoy something together, or whether it's friends from afar, bringing communities of people together across countries and across the world, and making meaningful, lasting relationships because of the show. It feels very special to be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've made some great friends through, my guilty pleasure show.
Right? We've been on an adventure, just starting out of meeting in a Facebook group. So
yeah, incredible. Yeah, exactly. Look where we are now. That video leading us into the podcast. It's a very cool thing to see.
That video needs updating.
So old.
Well, it was cool to me, and for the title of the podcast, I believe it's referring to Kevin McGarry on the show in his typical suspenders and unbuttoned shirt, correct?
Go ahead, Julie. I'll let you take this one.
That may be where it comes, but it's given us a lot of it's given us an opening to, and that unbuttoned. It's allowed us to be quite diverse in our podcast. We're I think we're like 150 podcasts now. Broadway stars, musicians,
authors, writers.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, that's
Charlotte,
what I took away from that video as well. Was like, I saw Kevin there briefly, a quick clip of a podcast that he was on, but that so many other people, so many cool people you've had on. It's really, I think that the show, whatever draws you in initially, it's a gateway.
It was a weird name.
It's a very weird name.
Right? It's a weird name, and we were about to change it, and we went to Drama in West Palm Beach, and we were still pretty early in the journey, and everybody else was Hallmark something. Everybody had Hallmark in their name, which I felt like was a little too narrow. And then nobody could remember which podcasters they were, but everyone could remember us because we had a weird name. And we're just like, okay, that's
good branding. That's just good branding.
It's gonna stay, and it's given us a lot of like range to do it. We've hosted events, we've been on panels, we've done a lot of different things, and so we just live in our unbuttoned world, and we'll thank Kevin for it.
It's very unbuttoned, but yes, it is a nod because we originally came out of a Team Nathan fan group. So it is
Sure.
definitely a nod to that look.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's evolved.
I for one love it. I think it's a great name, and I think it always, whenever I see the handle on social media, it always makes me think like, yeah, they've got a sense of humor. This is not.
We do.
I'm glad you see that. Yes.
Yeah, we're not taking ourselves too seriously here.
No.
Always a little sass, maybe a little fun.
Yes.
We probably aren't. Sometimes we throw out a beautiful video, but not always. You might get beautiful, you might not.
You might get
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We might just have to post Kevin and Pascal passing off the bean can.
Those are
might
great little moments. I'm always happy when people catch those little details.
Those are our favorite. We love that.
On the show, everybody has a pretty full life they're living on screen, whether they have lines or whether they have whether they're given a specific purpose in a scene. We always find something to be doing that keeps us alive in the show, in the small town, with relationships with each other in the background. So it's always fun for us when those things get called out.
I mean, isn't that essentially how Hickam has evolved, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I've done a lot of that work in the background to
put your time in.
Yeah.
My next question is, Mike Hickam has had some amazing growth in 12 season. So what has it been like to play that range? I mean, I can picture the painting the Coal Valley to Hope Valley, right?
Yeah.
All the way to now, he's managing everything.
It has really been such a gift to play Mike Hickam and to go on this journey with him, because he really was a bit of a blank slate when I was first handed the role. And it was through, we've had a lot of different showrunners, different writing teams over the years. A couple writers who've stayed pretty consistent throughout, but a lot of change. And with each change, each showrunner comes in with their own perspective, their own vision, and sort of finding the ways in which they're excited to see Mike grow, whether it's becoming Mike as opposed to just being Hickam, for example. The writers who are more interested in his humor and silliness, and the writers who are more interested in seeing him go from a Barney Fife to a more of an Andy Griffith. So it's been, over the years, really fun to navigate. And I feel like I have gotten a lot of opportunities to explore different sides of him and to find those things within myself that I can bring to the role that are whatever is asked of me, trying to find a way of playing it while remaining true to the core of the character. So it's been challenging at times, but in a really good way. I think, I know that there are people who, especially 12 years into a show, have a sense of their character and an attachment to them. We feel like we need to advocate for our characters and our roles on the show. And you might run into somebody who would say, well, I know my character and they wouldn't do that, or they wouldn't say that. And although I understand where that comes from, I've found a lot of joy in avoiding that outcome and just rolling with it when I'm handed something that may seem incongruous or may seem like it doesn't exactly fit who I have thought Mike Hickam to be. And that's a flexibility that I think has served me well on the show, because I couldn't have told you up until it was written for season 10 or whenever it was that I had all those sisters, and I had imagined an entirely different backstory for him. And, a perfect example of this would be when for Jesse to receive a promotion at the sawmill with Lee, or at the lumber mill, it sort of required Hickam to step aside and choose to go with Gowan and join his oil company. And I remember feeling really strongly when I first read that this is something that Mike Hickam would never do. He's so loyal to the Coulters He has been with Lee and he loves Rosemary, and he would never turn his back on them and go take another job. And I sort of pushed through that initial resistance and played it out and did my job as an actor, which I think is just to commit to whatever you're given. And it opened up a whole new world for Mike and all new things to explore on the show. And kind of, it was fun to see him come up in the world a little bit, get some new suits, have a little money in his pocket. And then I also got to work with Martin Cummins a lot, which was an awesome experience that I hadn't had much up until that point. And he's one of my good friends now. So you just never know where it's all leading. And with a show with this kind of longevity, I have found a lot of joy in just accepting what comes and recognizing that every character, if they're lucky, is going to have a lot of growth over the years.
You know, I remember when Mike is all of a sudden the book smart oil guy, and he's just like rattling off. He's done all of his research, and I'm like, get it, Mike. Let's go. Yeah.
We've always had these little glimpses where he's engineered the fireworks stand, or he's drawn up architectural plans for a dollhouse. And he's designed an oil pipeline that he's a smart guy, and he's a hard worker. But he is not always the sharpest tack in other ways. I think that there are moments when he doesn't necessarily catch on as quickly as everybody else. But
that's why you love him.
Right.
It's true to real life. I think we all know those people who are book smart or have certain areas where they're just like, they're on it and they've got it. And other times we're like, hey, you all there?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where'd you go just then?
So you mentioned about kind of taking these new things that they're throwing at Hickam and just going with it. But how did you kind of face that, but still keep him what we knew of him, like that little quirky personality? Like, how did you put that into these kind of very different aspects of Hickam?
It's a good question. I think, there's something to each season stepping on a set and starting to put on the costume, walk around the Hope Valley set, being back together with our, friends and fellow actors, the crew, where it sort of drops in. I don't know that I could necessarily turn that part off fully when I'm in that zone. And I would say at his core, there's always a genuine kindness and positivity to Mike. And whether he's in a situation where he's feeling bold and confident, or he's feeling timid, shy, nervous, whatever, that I think there is always an enthusiasm and a sort of a hopeful positivity to him that shines through. So I think that has been key over the years for me, is that I find that little light inside myself and try to turn it up a little brighter. And he tends to come out that way.
And I think that's what people love about Mike, right? Like, that's why everyone's like, Hickam, he's they're cheering for him. So in season 12, we find Mike and May coming back. So now, not only has Mike made this huge journey over 12 years, he's a married man now. Mm-hmm. And so when you guys show back up in Hope Valley from your honeymoon experience, that is not how people expected Mike and May to come back.
No, not how I expected it before I got the first script either. This is a perfect example of one of those times where I had a whole idea in my head about how maybe Mike and May could be or would be just like embarrassingly in the honeymoon zone.
Yeah.
Lovey-dovey and together all the time, and maybe even have to get a talking to from Rosemary about calming it down a bit because it's a bit much. And we showed back up, and it was the opposite. The whole honeymoon was terrible, and we were at each other's throats by the end of it because everything went wrong. And then we come home, the apartment's flooded. So that was another one of those opportunities to suddenly, 12 seasons in, find a side of Mike that I had never seen before. And, Amanda and I both, I think, we felt that story, we could have pulled our punches a little bit, could have tried to be a little sweeter about all of it, but we thought that would really sort of undermine the reunion, and it wouldn't feel quite as much like you've earned the coming back together. And the opportunity that we saw in it was the opportunity to tell a story that I'm sure any married couple listening to your podcast would recognize as a moment of tension and getting into tough times where you don't see eye to eye, and learning the lesson, swallowing your lumps and getting back into a good place together by taking a breather, getting some advice from good friends, coming back together and discussing it calmly, and remembering that we at our core love each other. So that was cool. It was unexpected and it was fun.
Yeah, Mike and May had a very sweet courtship, and not really any real struggles other than trying to pull things together quickly. Do you think it was important for them to show the struggle a little bit?
Yeah, I think that was. I think when I spoke to Lindsay about it, she was eager to have an opportunity to show couples get into a bit of a spat, but then repair that relationship and watch somebody go through the process of learning from that disagreement to come out stronger and better afterwards. And so we took that to heart and really wanted to play that fully. But it's, I think this is an example of when you've got, different showrunners from different periods of time on the show. I said that, excuse me, I saw that storyline come out, and I immediately thought of Jesse and Clara from several seasons earlier, where the brand new newlyweds, their kind of whole storyline that season was one of difficulty as they tried to integrate their lives. And so that's where we have, this knowledge of the history of the show, and we have a dialogue with the showrunner. And Lindsay was great with that. She was really open to that conversation. I just said, we have done elements of that before. So if we want to do some difficulties in our relationship and find a way back to peace and happiness, that would be great.
Right.
But for me, at a certain point, I did feel like Hickam and May do represent some of that sweetness and some of that fun and silliness together. So we'll see where things go, but for now I wanted to keep some of that alive, even though we were handed that a bit of a kerfuffle off the top of the season.
See, it sounds to me like you did advocate for Hickam and May there. Like, you don't want to have a repeat of
Yes. It's exactly right. I think that there's balance to be found between the ranges of yes, anything you want, and no, my character wouldn't do that. I like to find somewhere happily in the middle.
I felt like this storyline's been a nice balance, actually.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, there were some great moments, with May and Mike talking to their friends. There was a beautiful conversation with, May and Faith. And I think lots of people can relate to that, whether you're married or not, really, any relationship, friendships. Yeah.
I think that's something that our show does really well is highlight and lift up those relationships that you have, the people who are close to you, be they family, friends, your partner. It's important to have people to talk to in your life and to be able to listen and learn.
Right.
Yes. Listen and learn. So how do you like where Mike has ended up? I mean, we've had a journey with how many jobs has he had? Have you ever made a list?
The list has been made. I don't keep it at the top of my head, but yeah.
Somebody will know the amount of jobs, but now he's running the saloon / hotel / restaurant.
That's right.
So how do you like where he's kind of settled?
It was that was another example of a time where it was a little tough to receive the news via the script that something was changing in a way that I thought didn't necessarily align with my understanding of the character when Mike decided to step down from being mayor.
Right.
But that was so John Tinker was the showrunner at the time, and that was another conversation that led to better understanding for me about where he saw that going, why he saw the character doing that. But he also allowed me to then write something in there to kind of help explain it for Mike. So that resulted in a scene with Jack or Bill, where I got to say to him essentially what made sense to me for the character of Mike. He's a person who wants to be helpful to people, who wants to say yes to people. He has a hard time saying no and turning people away. And part of being in a leadership role, being the mayor of the town, is that you have to say no to people. You can't just say yes all the time. And that was keeping him up at night, having to turn people away and say no and give people hard news. That was an element of the job he wasn't ready for. So we find our way through those moments and oftentimes get a little input that allows us to then grow the character even more and find new nuances and more depth to them. So anyways, to answer your original question, I get a lot of joy and laughter out of thinking about how the mayor is now essentially the bellboy at the hotel. And I really like being at the Queen of Hearts because it feels like a sort of, not necessarily like the center of town, though it is literally at the crossroads, the kind of intersection of town, but it is a gathering place. And so I've found that to make a lot of sense for Mike. I think he gets to be in service to others and available to people when they need him, and helpful whether people need to bend his ear at the bar or just grab him for a quick errand. He can step out and kind of runs his own schedule to a degree. So it's been really fun to be in that place, and it has allowed me to interact with a lot of different characters from a lot of different kind of areas of town. So that's been awesome.
And a lot of different ages, because now the teens hang out there too. Like
teens.
Yeah.
It's a whole new era in Hope Valley with the teens running around, throwing dance parties and growing up and having their own beginnings of relationships. It's really wild.
Yeah, I mean, it must be wild for all of you to have watched them grow.
Nothing exemplifies the longevity of the show more than seeing these little kids, who were little kids, and whose feet dangled when they sat in the pews of the classroom, in Elizabeth's classroom, to now being, full-grown young adults. It is wild. And they drive themselves to set sometimes, and they show up looking like little adults and have to almost be like pigtailed back into being like, you're not quite there yet. We're not ready. We're not ready.
We're not ready for you to grow up yet.
Yeah, exactly. But they are. It's wild.
But Mike provides them with grilled cheese. And is Mike's grilled cheese magical? Because I feel like it's heals illness, it heals broken hearts, it helps with dreams. Like that grilled cheese.
A good grilled cheese will do that for you.
Gives you good dreams.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of the Hope Valley Vicks Vapor Rub. It can kind of do everything for you.
Right? I mean, it's literally, it's like you're sick, you get a grilled cheese. You have a broken foot, you get a grilled cheese. You are overwhelmed with something you need to do, grilled cheese.
grilled cheese all day. We had the whole fancy menu at the Queen of Hearts, and all people wanted was the grilled cheese. So
Yeah.
You know,
gotta
there's
give people what they want.
something said for a good grilled cheese, though, right?
Oh, for sure, especially with a cup of tomato soup. Come on.
Right.
I miss a grilled cheese. So speaking of the saloon, we talked to Pascal a few days ago, and we asked her if the Coulters had to change the name, because we remember when Lucas changed the name to the Queen of Hearts when he took ownership. So we thought, would the Coulters change the name? And she said, I think we would let Hickam pick the name because he's kind of running the show there. So
wow.
What do you think Mike would name the saloon?
Whatever the writers put in the script.
That's no fun.
Boy, I'll have to think about that one. Ooh. I mean, essentially, it's one big grilled cheese factory now. So maybe they're
grilled cheese factory.
Yeah, exactly.
That works. I can see the sign now.
There's a grilled cheese like up in the upper left corner of the sign that kind of sticks off the top.
They have neon signs, the cheese dripping. You know how they have, each one lights up in succession, just dripping down.
Yes. It can say home of the world famous grilled cheese.
That's right.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's
the cheesecake factory. It's the grilled cheese factory. I like it.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike Hickam's grilled cheese better than a Juicy Lucy.
Yeah, don't get me in on that. Don't get me in on that.
No, we're not fighting about Juicy Lucy's right now.
You gotta fill a New Englander in on that joke. I don't get it.
All right, Juicy Lucy is famous in Minnesota, and there's Matt's Bar, and there's the 5-8 Club, and each one claims to be the originator of the Juicy Lucy, which is 2 beef patties that have been pinched together while it cooks or before it cooks with a slice of cheese in the middle.
Okay.
So you get the cheese all melty and good inside of your burger. And it is delicious. It's dangerous on that first bite. You can burn your mouth, so be careful. It is delicious. And you can't go wrong at either place, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're all great. And, you know, Matt's is a true dive bar, so it's always packed.
This is very similar to like the war of the Philly cheesesteaks, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Very similar. It's Minnesota's Philly cheesesteak war.
There you go.
There you go. And there's strong feelings on both sides of it. But maybe we can start a grilled cheese war. I mean, there's a hazelnut war this year. Like maybe there could be a grilled cheese war.
You know what? The people of Hope Valley care deeply about their food groups, and they'll go to bat for them.
They do. I'm still waiting for the new sign, world famous grilled cheese. Mike got to lots of people in town got to do something fun this year outside of the saloon, and that Rosemary's holding the play, and she got people to come and audition for it. And Mike really, 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 really wants a part in this, you know, random play that I've never seen anybody in that cast ever in before.
Because Julie, you went to that.
I saw that play.
Oh, did you see?
I saw it in 2009 at the Guthrie.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So you saw Aaron Cecily.
Fantastic set. I mean, Aaron was Cecily in that. And
she was incredible in that role, wasn't she?
Yes.
She really lit up the stage in that role. I mean, she would in any role, but somehow that role really fit so well, and she just was buzzing all over that stage and was just so funny and fun to watch. The whole production was really great.
Yeah, so the importance of being earnest ends up being the Hope Valley play. I mean, it was on my mind this fall. I got an email from the Guthrie because they were doing it again, and they had sent it out, and it had their past productions, and there was.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But maybe you were involved in that production too.
I was. So I was understudying both Jack and Algernon, so the two male leads of the show, and so I got to watch that show a lot. I watched rehearsals, and I watched it once it got up on stage, and it was a joy. So
and
that's
you know all the lines.
well, I mean, at that point, if you're learning the lines for those two characters, you do essentially memorize the whole show. So
Mhm.
it was a lot of work. It was a lot of time spent pacing in a rehearsal room alone, and just speaking to myself because I was playing both parts. And essentially, the whole first act is just those two characters talking to each other. So yeah, I nearly went crazy doing that show.
You're just doing both monologues, doing
It
both
was
back and forth.
like a 2-hour monologue for me, but it was a great experience and really fun. And of course, it was awesome to get to meet Erin there and see her do her thing up on stage, because she is an incredible talent, as you've gotten to know through When Calls the Heart. But on stage, she's something to behold.
I'm sure she is.
Those
Can you
theater
still recall like random lines?
Very little.
Yeah.
I don't have that kind of brain. I learn things.
And then you let it go.
know them for the period of time I need to know them, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
The guy I understudied, one of them, his name is John Skelly. He's a terrific actor. Also came from the Guthrie BFA program, like myself. And he's actually in
this Guthrie BFA program. I'm gonna put up.
Thank you so much. He's currently playing Harry Potter in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child in LA right now. Go and see him. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that kind of memory. He can it was just incredible getting to work with him. I got to do a few different shows with him, and he, without trying, would have the entire thing memorized and could mimic back to you everybody's lines, knew all their blocking, could just do the whole show by himself. He's just one of those remarkable people who can just he'll watch it, he knows it, and will never forget it. And I'm envious because I'm not that way. I have to work really hard to memorize it, and then it doesn't stick around long.
You know,
it goes away.
You know where to find it in the book. If you need it,
That's right.
And so when you were doing it there, it was right there in your script, and you got to say one line a lot of times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That one line, the specific delivery of that line, I took straight from that production because that did stick in my memory. Chris Nelson played Lane, the butler. He actually played both butlers in the 2 acts and was hilarious. He's a really terrific actor, and his delivery of that line really stuck out to me. I couldn't think of saying it any other way.
That was a great use for that then. Because it was super fun to see Mike really want to be in the play.
Thank you. It was really fun to play, and it was a really fun day on set because they really let me get up there and do it many times, many different ways. So I was allowed to play around a lot with how that bad audition comes off. And actually, the moment when Mike runs back up on stage, that was a moment where I got to kind of pull from my previous knowledge, because it wasn't scripted that I actually get up and say anything. It was originally scripted that I would just go up and say, "Would you like me to do it again?" And they say, "No, thank you." So I pitched that I would run up on stage and start just saying another line from the show. And so I chose that one because it was pithy and very Oscar Wildean, and thought it was a good one to throw out there quickly.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to see Mike so excited about the show. And then he clearly didn't eat enough healing grilled cheese because
right.
Yep, it's true.
All the guys ended up sick.
All went downhill.
Yeah. We saw last season that Mike sang the adorable duet with May. So now he's a singer and he acts. Is he perhaps, a performer at heart and we just didn't know it?
Between the trumpet and the harmonica and the singing and the love of dance and the now the acting,
He's a triple threat. Yep.
Yeah, he's got it all going on. Not all of it is done well, but he does it all.
But he does it all. Does he dance this season?
Yeah. Did a bit of dancing at the Charleston.
Yes.
May and Hickam picked it up while they were in Chicago. Maybe
That's right, because May had to teach it to him.
The one thing that went right on their honeymoon. And there was quite a bit more Mike dancing that didn't make the final cut of the show because, of course, there isn't time for everything.
Right.
But there was a pretty prolonged dance solo to kick off the dance party in the saloon. Mike thought he would get things going.
Okay, so Allie's party.
Yes, yeah.
Can we get that posted? Somebody please post that.
I will have to ask Vicky, our producer, to see if we can get a hold of that footage and release it to the people.
It should be released to the people. Yes.
Yeah, Mike loves himself a dance floor. Is always eager to get out there, and even back in, gosh, I forget when it was. There was season 3, I want to say, or 4, when there was a film that came to town and was looking to cast locals.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hickam was cast in that movie. So even way back then, there was some kernel of talent there.
Yeah.
Acting, singing, dancing. He's the full deal. He's a triple threat. So, yeah.
Well, small town life. Everybody had to be a bit of a jack of all trades.
Well, with the play ended up being on Rosemary's radio show, I see the potential for more things to come.
It would be fun, right? I think it was a lot of fun. Everybody really enjoyed getting to bust out their stage and theater chops.
Right. Yeah, we need a musical.
My favorite bit of that was listening to Natasha pretend
real voice
to do an accent when in fact she was just removing an accent and using her real voice for a change.
That was a fun treat.
We love her natural voice. She's lovely. We've had Natasha on the podcast too.
She is lovely, and her natural accent is also lovely.
Lovely. We're just like, look, she's going to be an English lady.
Surprise!
It was a perfect choice for her. Actually, she was an English guy.
Yes, that's right. That's right. She was. I forget if she was Jack. Was she Jack or Algernon? Anyways, no, she was Jack.
She got to say
that was Algernon.
Right, and she has like the sweetest voice ever too. So yeah.
Totally.
Right.
So Ben, the episode descriptions for the rest of the season have been released for a couple of weeks now, and Hickam is brought up very frequently in them. So what can you tease about the end of the season for Mike Hickam?
Mike Hickam's going to have some. Let's see. I'll say Mike Hickam is going to have some quick exits.
Okay.
That for a mysterious tease.
That is a good tease.
Big tease.
Sarah looks totally unsatisfied with that as the tease.
My mind is just thinking.
That was like, I hate this.
It's a good tease, but
I think that's in the description.
Did I read one of the descriptions?
Oh, well,
go ahead. You have them?
Yeah, I have one of them. Is in here. Let me quick find it. Hickam and May race to secure medicine. Oh,
wow. Okay, so that really is in there.
It really is in there. That's in there. They're racing.
Well, imagine that the medicine is needed quickly. And
so I love that May gets to go do something pharmaceutical.
Yes.
I'm very
pro display her expertise.
Yeah.
In case you don't know, Julie is a critical care pharmacist, right? How do you explain it, Julie? Yeah, in a children's hospital in Minnesota.
At Children's.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So pediatric critical care, that's where I live my life, in the pediatric ICU. So otherwise in the ER. So I'm actually very pro May doing anything pharmacist.
Well,
So-
then you're going to love what's coming up. She's going to be using the total depth and breadth of her knowledge, and really kind of saves the day with her pharmaceutical understanding.
Yeah, let's go. Let's get that happening. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing them race.
We hope she saves the day.
Hope she saves the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Hope Valley.
Yeah, exactly.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this is Hope Valley, and the channel is Hallmark, right?
Hey, you never know what could happen.
You never know.
I mean,
be staying on the edge of your seat the whole time.
we don't know what's going to happen though. There's through the end of the season, but after this week, we are 3/4 of the way through the season. Yeah, that's insane. It's been fun to see all the great storylines through the season. Also, I also love Hickam's uncomfortableness with Ava. I just got to throw that out
Oh,
there.
right. Yes. That's been fun. Yeah.
He's just like
he's a bit of a fly on the wall for everything that's going on with Ava Riella, and he will continue to play a role in how things go with her.
Okay. I just love that. Like, it's like one more thing that just makes him uncomfortable.
Hiding behind the plant. Yeah.
He's just like, what is it about that woman? Just does not.
He keeps getting into impossible situations this season, with between Lucas and Lee, and now with Lee and Rosemary concerned about her tab and telling him don't put anything more on there, and you can tell she's a tough person to say no to. So
right,
and that has never been Hickam's strong suit, as I alluded to earlier. So it's a tough spot for Hickam.
Yeah,
it's a fun little
perfect place for us to watch him be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It really is. Ben, would you play a game with us?
Sure.
Okay, it's a fake favorites game. But do you have a favorite musical or play?
When you say fake, am I supposed to make something up?
It's not really a game. You just get to answer.
Game.
Okay.
It's not
I saw Hadestown on Broadway not too long ago, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of those shows that I knew very little about going into it, and coming out the other side, couldn't stop listening to the cast album. It's just, the music is so good.
That's on play right now. My son just cast that for his high school.
Fantastic!
The music director for a large high school here.
Wow.
So he's excited. That's just been released for people to get the rights, and high schools can start doing it. So
very, very cool.
Great music.
A lot of fun. Yeah, it's great music, and it's a really fun show.
It's great. That's a great answer. Do you have a favorite rom-com? Not one you've been in.
Yeah. I suppose I can't say anything that Aaron Krakow is in, but
sure you can.
Well, then anything that Aaron Krakow is in, I'm going to watch it.
Okay, now pick something else.
I feel like I just watched one I really liked. I can't think of it, but I do know. Okay, About Time. That is one that I really enjoyed, and
that's good.
It broke my heart.
Okay,
it made me cry, which is a rarity for a movie I'm watching. But it's so good.
Yeah,
I'll have to find it. What about a favorite TV show or maybe a series that you're binging?
Okay, so I just watched the most recent episode of Paradise last night. And it is one of the most intense and incredible episodes of TV I've ever seen. It is pretty wild.
High praise. Wow.
Yeah. Where's Paradise streaming?
Paradise is, I want to say it's on Disney or Hulu.
Okay.
And it is, I mean, fair warning, there is some adult content on there in the show. It's a very, very cool show, and the lead is Sterling K. Brown, who is just incredible.
Love Sterling.
Right.
Yeah. Sterling was at the Guthrie back in
Yes, he was.
2000.
All the people were there.
Yeah. And he's a great guy, and he's really good in this show. But that's a really fun one. There's some serious kind of sci-fi twists and turns in it, and it's a good one.
And for people trying to place Sterling, he was also Randall in This Is Us.
So. Right.
Yes, yeah, that was probably his biggest kind of breakout moment. Before that, he was on Army Wives with Aaron, and among others in the cast, not just the two of them. But yeah, he's been around a long time doing it like a real journeyman actor who's earned his way up to everything he's got going on right now. He's earned by being a terrific actor and a wonderful person. So I'm really happy for him.
I might have to track that one down because I love Sterling on screen. He's just amazing.
Captivating. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I want to say Paradise was created by the same person who created This Is Us.
Oh, that's what's his face from 30 something.
Is it Dan Fogelman?
Maybe. Yeah. He was from 30 something. I'll show my age here. Which I watched in real time.
This is why I just watch I just look things up on IMDb. I'm terrible.
Right, exactly.
Connections and remembering names.
He was one of the 30-something-year-old people. and that is it. Dan Fogelman. It's somebody from 30-something runs that. Okay, yeah, that's now I might have to track that down for sure.
Right, sounds good.
This is how we get all of our recommendations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, this is just for you.
We need a running list. Yeah.
Right. So do you have a favorite food? Maybe something healthy and something indulgent?
Oh, well, grilled cheese is obviously on the brain right now, which is a great go-to food. I would say my something indulgent would be gummy candies. Just all the like Haribo, Sour Patch Kids, gummy bears, all that stuff. I love it. My teeth don't love it, so I have to be mindful of that. And in terms of a healthy food, oh boy, you know what? There's a salmon that my stepdad always made when I was growing up, and it's equal parts mustard, soy sauce, and honey as the glaze. Super easy to make. You mix those three things together in equal parts, slather that on the salmon, throw it in the oven real quick, and it is out of this world good and tasty and pretty healthy, and it's really easy to make. So that I love.
Now I think you need a cooking show.
Well, you know what? I come from a family of a lot of great cooks, including a cousin of mine who has a cookbook called Sheet Pan Suppers, and she has put out these recipes that are just amazing, and they are really very easy to do. Her name is Molly Gilbert. Check her out. Get her book. You will thank me because they're great recipes and super easy to do.
Yeah,
I feel like I have seen that one before for sure. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it has done pretty well.
Families I think live on sheet pan suppers, so yeah,
it's true.
Perfect
It's
for
true.
a weeknight. Yeah. What about music? Do you have a favorite band or musician, or maybe just something you're really listening to a lot right now?
I would say, first of all, I've got pretty eclectic musical taste. I like a lot of different stuff. So this is always tricky for me to think of like what do I have playing a lot right now? Let me just check my
Hades Town,
my music and see what's been playing lately. Oh, this is fun. This will be fun for your podcast listeners, to the silence while this loads.
Well, whatever. Music is,
Most
whatever
people
you make it be. That sometimes, the best moments are in the moments of silence.
Right.
This is where we're at. Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? The last thing on my playlist is actually the soundtrack to Wicked. So I'm really coming across as a Broadway musical buff right now, though that's not typically the case for me, but that is.
I would bet that mine is Hamilton.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I did have the Gypsy stuff up because we just had an actor from Gypsy on.
Is that right?
Yes.
Done is playing just because we got to be ready for when that musical plays. So,
okay, I'm going to say a classic one that I love is the album Pontiac by Lyle Lovett. That's one that I keep going.
I just want to say, I love how serious you were taking this question and like solid evidence. Like, yep, it's this.
It is a fault of mine that I get caught up in the truth of things and want to be very earnest about it, and it can sometimes ruin the rhythm of just like a good story.
No, I love it
about myself.
Actually, I love that you are that focused through it. You know, I work with a lot of people that focus into things weirdly and oddly, so I'm feeling very relatable. Very, very.
Okay,
relatable.
great.
Right.
No, I'm glad he didn't just like BS an answer. He gave us the solid answer. Yeah.
Never. I always want to give you the truth of the matter.
It's perfect. That was awesome. Did I cut you off? Were you going to say something else?
No, yeah, I think you're golden.
Okay.
No.
Okay, good. Ben, this has been really fun. Thank you for joining us and sharing about, the MS Walk and of course, One Calls the Heart and Mike Hickam. I hope you come back again sometime.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It was so nice to chat with you both, and I really appreciate everything you do.
Well, we appreciate you being here. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please.
Absolutely.
See you later.
All right, night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.